This is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. In the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1 and verse 1, it said, "The words of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, of the priests that were in Anathoth, in the land of Benjamin." We see in that one verse many things. If you will take a verse in the Bible and dissect it and look at it and see what that verse says, you can find out where you're going. And that we find out that this man is Jeremiah, that his father was a priest. Therefore, he more than likely would be a priest also, except God chose him to be a prophet. Now let's read verse 2. "And to whom the word of the Lord came in the days of Josiah, the son of Ammon, king of Judah, in the 13th year of his reign. It came also in the days of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, unto the end of the 11th year of Zedekiah, and the son of Joash, king of Judah, unto the carrying away of Jerusalem the captive in the 5th year." Now, we could go back in secular history, in Josephus and other things, and we can find exactly what the Bible said right here. Listen, the Bible is the truth and all else is false. The Bible is the truth. He's got enough witnesses right here. All the things that God said are right here, all come together. There was only one time that all of these things fit in the same circle. And here they were all together. Now let's look at what God has to say to Jeremiah. It said, "The word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee." Now here's God speaking audibly to Jeremiah. And he says, imagine this, the God of heaven, the God that created the heavens and the earth, speaking to a man saying, before, when you were in your mother's belly, I'm the one that formed you. I'm the one that called you. And listen to what he said. "Before thou comest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee and ordained thee a prophet unto the nations." There was another one like that. His name was John the Baptist. He was called in his mother's womb to be who he was and filled with the Holy Spirit. And here's Jeremiah that God has done this with. "Then said I, Lord," and that word "I," you're going to see it through the book of Jeremiah. And that's an explanation. Man, me, Lord? No. Yes, God said. And Jeremiah says, "Yeah, but I'm but a child. I cannot speak, for I am a child." And the Lord said to him, he said, "Say not thou art a child, because I'm going to give you the words to say that you need to say. Child or no child, I am the one going to make it work with you." Verse 7, "But the Lord saith unto him, Say not, I am a child, for thou shalt go in all that I shall send thee, and whether I command thee, thou shalt speak." Now, that's a command that we have today. We got from the New Testament, the Lord said, "Go ye into all the world and speak to them." Jerusalem first, Judea, Samaritan, and all the land. That's what we do at the church that I go to. How do we go around the world? Well, one way we go around the world is with this computer. We're going around the world with a computer today. And we're also going locally. We go locally to our town. We reach out to other counties and other cities. And that is what the Lord said to do, to go out. And that's what he told Jeremiah, you're going to do. He said, "Be not afraid of their faces, for I am with thee to deliver thee, saith the Lord." He said, "I'm with thee. Don't be afraid of their faces. You ain't gotta, don't look at their faces if they frown or scowl or whatever they do. Hey, if you're standing before a crowd and you get up today and you mention the name of Jesus, I'm here to tell you right now, you're going to see some faces that are not going to like you. You're going to see hatred like you've never seen before. And that hatred's not for you. That hatred's for God. That hatred's for Jesus Christ. That hatred's the hatred that put Jesus on the cross. That's the hatred of the devil put in the heart of people, and it shows up on their countenance, on their faces. Listen, I'm a tract passer. I take tracts out every single solitary day of my life. When I leave the house, I leave with a pack of tracts in my pocket. I take tracts out and hand them to people. I see faces. I know when I meet the devil. And I've met him many a time. Some people say, I don't want that. And you don't have any right to do that. You don't have a right to interfere in my life with God. And people say things that listen, the devil is real, and he's out there, and he's indwelling people again today, as he did in the days of the New Testament when it was being written. And the Lord put forth his hand. Listen to that. Now here's the Lord of heaven that created the heavens and the earth. He's speaking audibly to this man, Jeremiah, and now he's reaching out his hand. He is so big that his godly hand could not be humanly felt. Yet he used his son, Jesus, to come to the earth for many things at many times. And he reached out his hand now and touched my mouth. And the Lord said unto me, Behold, I have put my words in thy mouth. Now here's a man, God put his words in his mouth. He had to put them in his heart first. What's in the heart comes out of the mouth. So God put his words in Jeremiah's heart so that they could come out of his mouth. He said, see, listen to this now. See, what do you see with? You see with your eyes. You see with your mental conscience. You see with different things. He said, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms. Wow. Here's a man in the wilderness, and God said, I've set you over the nations and over the kingdoms. That's kings and nations and peoples and everything. He said, I've set you there to root out and to pull down and to destroy and to throw down and to build and to plant. Wow. One man. This is one man and God. God chose him to do this. To root out, pull down, and to plant. And listen, this is one of my favorite of all verses, favorite verses. And I can tell you this right now. I sat under a pastor that I believe that God spoke to him. And this is what God told him to do. And this is what he does. It's exactly what he does. Does he speak in between the lines? No. If you were talking foolishness to him, he'd turn around and walk away. I mean, you got to, when God calls you, you got to do what God says. You can't do what you want to do, and you can't do what the devil said. So, all right, he said, moreover, verse 11, moreover. What is that? Moreover, that's more. More of the same thing. Now here I'm going to tell you, moreover, again, I'm going to tell you something else. The words of the Lord came unto me, saying, Jeremiah, what seest thou? And I said, I see a rod, an almond tree. I see a rod, an almond tree. Then said the Lord unto me, Thou hast well seen, for I will hasten my word to perform it. Now listen, the almond, you remember back in the Old Testament over here, back further back, a bunch of people laid their rods down. And Aaron's rod was laid down. Now Aaron had a rod he'd been hooking sheep with it, he'd been walking with it. This was a dead rod. And he laid that rod down that night. And they laid their rods down that night. But in the morning, Aaron's rod had budded. Not only had it budded, but it actually brought forth fruit. It brought forth an almond. And they took Aaron's rod and they put it in the Ark of the Covenant. And that's where it was, kept in the Ark of the Covenant. And so here, he's saying, you've seen the almond tree bud and bloom. By the way, the almond tree was the first tree in that part of the land, was the first tree that yielded fruit, was the almond tree. And let's read one more verse, 13. And the word of the Lord came unto me a second time, saying, What seest thou? And I said, I see a seething pot, and the face thereof is toward the north. A seething pot, and the face thereof is toward the north. If you had a pot of boiling water, a seething pot, a pot of boiling water, and it's faced toward a direction, say toward the north, and you tip it down just a little bit, what's going to happen? That seething pot, that hot boiling oil or water or whatever it is going to come out toward the north. And God is talking here about judgment. He has a seething pot of judgment, and he's fixing to tip that pot. And when he tips it, it's going to go out toward the north from where they are in Jerusalem. And that's where they're going to be working from. The center of the earth, the heart of the world, the center of the earth. It said, Then the Lord said unto me, Out of the north an evil shall break forth upon all the inhabitants of the land. Wow. Oh me. Could I say something right here? This is the day after election. This is the day after the new election. And we had the northern kingdoms of the United States has voted in our president. And sometimes God allows things to happen so that we can be brought in check. And here's Jeremiah. He's in a world where many things were happening where he needed to be brought into check. And he's going to have to go, and he's going to have to tell the kings, the presidents, all the priests, and everybody that what's happening is not godly. If you don't do godly, then you're not going to follow a godly path, and that seething pot is going to be tipped and brought against you, and you are going to suffer because of it. You are going to suffer because he says over here in Jeremiah 20, over in 23, he says in Jeremiah 23, the priests have forsaken me. The preachers have forsaken me. The kings have forsaken me. The presidents have forsaken me. The princes have forsaken me. All have forsaken me and gone their own way. Therefore, I'm going to have to tip my pot and pour out my wrath upon that land. The nation that forgets God, the Bible said, will be turned into hell. The nation that forgets God will be turned into hell. Hey, we are facing, and we are going to face, some godless days. We have chosen to not serve God, and we have chosen to follow the way of Balaam, and because we are going to face some days. They're going to be the wrath of God upon the nation of the United States of America, just like it was on the nation of Israel. God had chosen people, Israel. They were his chosen people, and he had to pour wrath on them because of their disobedience. Do you think the United States of America is going to get away with rejecting God, with rejecting the plan of God, with promoting the devil's way, promoting what the devil does, promoting what? No, we're not going to get away with it. We're not going to get away with it. You and I, as Christians, may have to stand up one day. We may have to stand up. We may have to be shot. We may have to defend to the end like Stephen did. Stephen got stoned to death. But I want to tell you something. Let me show you a little picture and then I'm done. When Stephen was stoned to death, when he looked into heaven, he saw Jesus stand up at the right hand of the Father. Jesus stood up for Stephen. And he'll stand up for all of those that are beheaded for him, or that are shot for him, or that are martyrs for him. You maintain that which you have, which God gave you, and you will inherit the kingdom of heaven forever. You will be alive forever with God in the clouds in heaven. Now, this is Brother Peter saying the only way to get there is to say, Jesus, I am a sinner. Forgive me of my sin. Come into my heart and save my soul that I may follow you as Lord. And then find you a good King James Version Bible and get it and get you in a good church that preaches the gospel, and find a church that nobody likes, and that's probably the one you need to go to. And the one that's doing something for the Lord. Must go now. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.